Hey, good morning. Happy Thanksgiving. This is the Leafs Convo. Norm in London, Mike in Buffalo, Season 8, Episode 4, October 12th. We are on the go. The Leafs, a 6-3 loser in Detroit, 1-1 on the season now. Mike, it's hard to take a tally after 120 minutes of play, but when I have to come to you with any kind of assessment, I know I'm going to get the best of what you got, kind of unlike the Maple Leafs, not necessarily seeing the best of them yet. Good morning.
Good morning, Norm. Okay, and nobody can draw any conclusions after two games. But, I think that you look at both of the games, and I mean, what I've long railed about is complete efforts. It's like, for you to be a consistent team, you have to have, I'm not saying 60 minutes, because nobody puts out a 60-minute effort every game. But against a team that barely made the playoffs last year in Montreal and a team that missed the playoffs last year in Detroit. Now, these teams are a little different, obviously, but the Leafs beat Montreal on Wednesday, and then they promptly went to Detroit and kicked the ass of the Red Wings. So the Red Wings had their feet being held to the fire by their head coach, and the Leafs came out in the first period and put up a 2-0 lead on the Wings and had a very good period, and that's where the good ended, because the second period was atrocious on the part of the Leafs. They were completely dominated by the Wings, so you've had two inconsistent efforts. You got 2 points out of the home game. You lost 2 winnable points in the first road game of the season. And, okay, now they come back and they played that same Detroit team on Monday, Thanksgiving afternoon. And then they played Nashville, who's a team that's sort of flawed, on Tuesday afternoon. They need at least 3 of a possible 4 points in those 2 games.
This is the Convo. Norm in London, Mike in Buffalo. Welcome to the chat. If it's your first time, stick around. If you've always been here with us, we appreciate you. Teddy in Florida and Michael Matthew on his yacht have conflicting ideas of this team and opinions so far. Teddy seems to think there's cause for concern, even with the 1-1 record. And of course, Michael Matthew, always so smooth, doesn't believe there's a problem with the Leafs right now.
Well, I'm not, like I said, I'm not going to draw conclusions yet. I do think that there are areas of concern. I mean, in terms of Ted, the concern I have is based on how sort of balls out Anthony Stolarz has had to play in 2 games. If he keeps playing like that and he keeps playing at the frequency that he's going to have to with Joseph Woll on a leave of absence, he's going to get hurt again. And I'm not wishing for that to happen, obviously, folks. I'm just saying this is a reality with Anthony Stolarz. He does not, durability was an issue. Last year, I looked it up. Before he was injured on December the 12th, the Leafs had played 27 games. He played 17 of them. Joseph Woll had played 10. Then he hurts his knee, and then he's out for 2 months. So he is playing at a level higher than that. Right now, he's going to play one of the 2 games at home, Nashville and Detroit. They cannot play him back-to-back games. So that means 3 in the first week of the season, he's going to be playing 3 games. Probably
he's made 58 saves in 2 games. I mean, that's a lot of work. And Caden Primo's his backup. Like, it's really hard to draw any conclusions about this team right now. 2 games in, Matthews has a point. Easton Cowan hasn't played yet. Caden Primo is the team's backup. I don't think we would have believed on any level that a guy like this would have been the backup when we've been talking about how the tandem of Woll and Stolarz would be, a brick wall back there for the Leafs when in terms of keeping the puck out of the net. So maybe we just have to take this in stride right now, Mike.
Well, okay, and focusing on the goaltending situation, like I said, I mean, I think they need to be able to, and obviously we don't know what's going on with Joseph Woll. I'm not going to speculate on it. Brad Treliving mentioned last week that it appears that whatever's going on is sort of working itself out, but he didn't provide a timeline. So let's just say conservatively, because whatever is going on with Joseph Woll, he has not been on the ice. Obviously, if it's a family,
so in terms of how the league structures this leave of absence, what is the official term for why Joseph Woll is not with the team?
Well, I mean, technically, he's not on injured reserve, but he's on like sort of a non-injured reserve list.
What circumstances would a player find himself in order to, request this opportunity and have it granted?
Well, I mean, a leave of absence. I mean, it could be and this is not the case with Woll. I mean, if a player enters the NHL, NHLPA, a players assistance program,
right,
then they are given leave. If it's a personal leave of absence, like there's something going on with his family, we like I said, I'm not speculating on it. We don't know. The Leafs are being very. And they should be. The Leafs are being very close to the vest when it comes.
But he's been away. He's been away a while now.
He's been away for 3. I think it's 3 weeks. He's been away since before, right at the start of training camp. So, but the situation here is, Stolarz has played both games. He's going to play one of the 2 games coming up Monday, Tuesday. He's probably going to end up playing. I would say if they play, and I'm not looking at the schedule, but say they play 14, 15 games in October, he's probably going to end up playing 12 of them. Now, what I think is very possible is they could, Caden Primo is the backup. He's the guy on the bench. Dennis Hildeby played really well in the preseason. And I believe he was the goalie yesterday in the game that the Marlies beat Rochester. I think that there's a possibility that what happens is they will call up Hildeby for the second of the back-to-back games and maybe, do a transaction where Cowan plays the first game and we'll talk about that in a second. Cowan plays the first game of this back-to-back at home against Detroit, and then they send them to the AHL to create the roster space to call up Hildeby to play. So I think that they cannot overplay Anthony Stolarz. It will be absolutely devastating if he gets hurt and they have to go with Hildeby and Caden Primo for an extended period of time until Joseph Woll gets back. That's the big concern right now.
Geez, the Leafs probably thought that they could plug this team in and let them go to work, and they probably wouldn't set the world on fire initially, but at least they would do what they had to do in terms of accruing points. And here we are 3 games in. We have a really mild goalie crisis and lots of questions regarding, how this team might come together from the net on out. This is the Convo. Like the content, subscribe to the channel. Easton Cowan hasn't dressed yet, hasn't hit the ice, has not made his NHL debut, but he's on the roster. What the hell's going on?
Well, I don't like the way Craig Berube is playing this, because they sent him down, then they called him up on Wednesday right before the game, but then they said he wasn't going to play. Okay, fine. Then they have 2 days off. They're practicing. He's on the ice at Ford Performance Center. He's the extra skater.
Right.
He's mixing in on the third line, but they won on Wednesday, so they decided not to change the lineup. Okay, fine. So now that's 2 games. He could have played in back-to-back games on the weekend for the Marlies against the Rochester Americans, and instead he is sat for almost a week. Now, could they say, well, we want to play him, we're targeting to playing him against Detroit on Thanksgiving Monday, and we didn't think it would be fair to the kid to play him 2 preseason games in the American Hockey League before making his NHL debut. That's fine. Okay. If he does not play on Monday, send him down I'm
You can't
sorry.
tell me, sorry, Mike, to interrupt you. You cannot tell me that Treliving and Berube are not on the same page here.
No, I think they
Or
are, but I think they're on the wrong page if they don't play him. If they're treating him as an extra forward right now, I don't see the benefit of like, okay, he's practicing with the team.
yeah, but Treliving's looking at the organization. Berube's looking at his team.
Mhm.
This doesn't like organizationally. Cowan has other things that he can do to benefit himself and the organization at large. What benefit does he have to watching the game from the press box when he could be playing elsewhere? It's not like the Leafs are short on manpower.
Right.
It doesn't make a hell of a lot of sense to me. And it's not just that we want to see him play or that the Leafs are 1-1, but let the kid play in the minor leagues and bring him up when you need him.
Well, I mean, so far now the Leafs have 2 injuries and both on the fourth line. Scott Lawton was injured during training camp during the preseason. He's apparently going to be out for a couple weeks. Saturday,
Right.
Steven Lorenz had a collision at center ice early in the game, did not come back. They did not have any kind of prognosis of what's happening. Today is a day off before a game day, so we're not going to find out any information on Sunday. And on Monday, they probably hold an optional skate, so we won't know anything. But they'll report probably that he's going to be out. I mean, I don't know if it's a serious injury, but the fact that he did not come back early in the game is indicative of something, and it's not just a day-to-day thing. Now they have 2 extra forwards right now, 2 healthy scratches. One is Easton Cowan, the other one is Sammy Blais. Sammy Blais is somebody who has played for Berube for years, who they picked up off of waivers, who played for Berube on the Cup winner in 2019. They basically said to get him like more acclimated to what the Leafs are doing, they wanted him to practice a few days. If Sammy Blais is put in the lineup on Monday to play fourth line instead of Easton Cowan, then Easton Cowan needs to be sent to the American Hockey League. You just cannot have this. I don't see the benefit of, okay, fine, a game or two,
Right.
fine. But there is more a benefit to playing than there is to sitting and watching.
Right. And also, would you not want Easton Cowan put in a position where he can succeed among a group of players who are finding their way and moving forward in a positive direction, as opposed to, top players aren't scoring, your bottom line guys are injured. Here you go, Easton Cowan, try to make something of it.
Well, the funny thing is that it's surprising how one injury can sort of have a cascading effect in terms of the effect that it had on the roster. And the Lawton injury, I think, has had that cascading effect. So, okay, Lawton gets hurt. Lawton was playing with Lorenz and Easton Cowan on a fourth line for most of the preseason. Okay, Lawton gets hurt. What happens? They moved Dakota Joshua, they moved Nick Waugh from the third line to the fourth line to center Lorenz and Kali Yarncroke, who's played really well. And your third line, they move Max Domi down to center on the third line with Dakota Joshua and Nick Robertson.
Right.
And they're putting Matias Michelli on the first line. So that injury affected 3 lines. 3. The way Domi is played, and he took a stupid penalty against the Wings on Saturday, but he was also pretty good offensively. He scored a goal. I think he was one of their better forwards.
And Ty Domi will always be a contradiction, Mike. He will always be that player. He'll give you a lot, and then will make it feel like he's taken it back due to the fact that he takes a stupid penalty or makes a dumb play, or he's jammed at center, and he just doesn't look good. Then he will score, and then he will throw a hit, then he will fight. That is kind of Ty Domi in a nutshell. And the Maple Leafs right now, after 2 games, 1-1, it's not that bad, but fans are going to exacerbate any kind of little thing that doesn't go well with this team over this entire season, because
Well,
the goal has never really been fulfilled. And at this point, the only thing you can really do is bitch and moan and complain about things, Mike, until this team gives you reason to cheer. And I mean, that's a long way off in the distance. So what the hell kind of road are we traveling down? Last few points to you, Mike, and then we'll wrap it up quick. It is Canadian Thanksgiving, and I'm sure a lot of people want to get back to their families and enjoy the day.
well, I mean, I thought, and we may be looking at down the line before the deadline, them trying to add a forward. They're in a position that they can do that. But right. I think before you do that, you need Max Domi on that top line with Matthews and Nyes. I think that line is sort of missing a spark with Matias Michelli on there. I mean, he's a good playmaker, but and he's not number 16 because number 16 was a dynamic playmaker. But I think if you have a guy like Domi who is a good playmaker and provides a physical edge, I mean, I think that right now, Nyes and Matthews have played okay, but have not really. Their power play has not been dynamic. The top line has not been fantastic, and they need them, especially with the offensive. Now, the funny thing is, they had balanced scoring. They've had scoring out. They've had 3 goals out of their fourth line. Mm-hmm. Calle Jarnkrok has 2, and Nick Waugh has 1. Bobby McMahon has a goal, and then Max Domi has a goal, and you're getting Morgan Riley has a goal. I mean, but you're not getting it out of Nylander has an empty netter, and Matthews has an empty netter. The guys that you looked upon that needed to produce consistently, and it's 2 games, are Tavares, Matthews, Nylander, and Nyes. And right now, of that group, you have 2 empty netters, and that's it.
It's perception, Mike. Fans are wondering if the Leafs are doing things just to survive right now due to the fact that, the full complement of players that we had hoped would start the season is not together. Yet Craig Berube might be looking at potentially the first 10, 15 games as a way to experiment. Results be damned. Michael Matthew in the chat right here, he's got an interesting take on Joseph Woll. The fans deserve an explanation on Woll. It just doesn't sit well with 3 weeks and counting and no news. But I guess when you take this personal leave of absence, you're entitled to, a certain element of just privacy and not much else being said about it.
Guys, there's nobody who's more inquisitive about the status of players in terms of injuries, in terms of what's going on, than a reporter like myself and the Toronto media. But when it's a situation and it's a personal situation, it's none of our business. Right. And the Leafs are approaching it the right way. They're just saying, okay, there's something going on. He needs a leave of absence. We're respecting his privacy. And then when he comes back, it'll be up to him whether he discusses it. Right. Just like, I mean, there's an injury in Buffalo right now with Josh Norris, their center, who got hurt in the first game. He's been an injury problem for most of his career. They just said he got injured. It's not the same injury as before, and then he's going to miss a significant amount of time. That's all they really have to say. You can if you dig around and find out what exactly it is, fine. But no reporter out there is going to say, I know what is going on with Joseph Woll, and it's this. It's none of our business. So, I mean, of course, everybody, if it affects the team, I mean, then fans say, I understand their inquisitiveness to say, okay, well, what's going on with him? But really, it's none of our business.
With the Blue Jays now in the ALCS, it's just been a great year as a Blue Jay fan, not just because of what the team has achieved, and there's still a further way to go to, reach the ultimate goal, but the way it's come together, right? The stories. I mean, the Savage of late, George Springer's resurgence, Vladdy Guerrero doing what he's done, the stories within the story. Mm-hmm. The thing about the Maple Leaf season, and it's going to be tough, especially in this going, depending on how far the Jays go, right? Because the Jays are the story right now. Listen to Toronto radio. Nobody's really talking about the Maple Leafs. And that's probably a good thing, especially if they, get off to a lackluster start. And that's certainly a possibility. But What kind of stories are going to keep us compelled and coming back to Leafs games throughout this season? Um, Having been down the road with this team for the last decade and not really having anything other than first round playoff exits to talk about. For
Mhm.
me, there's the workmanlike aspect that the team is going to have to employ to get the job done, but in terms of interest, what is
Mhm.
going to keep us coming back? Will Matthews go on a 60, 70 goal chase? Will Nylander chase 50? Will Woll come back from this leave of absence and, pitch 4 or 5 shutouts in a row? There have to be stories within the story that keep
Right.
us compelled and interested as we go forward, especially coming off of what the Blue Jays have done. I mean, the Leafs are the Leafs are looking pretty plain Jane right now, and if that continues down the road, it might be a good thing for the staff if they're putting up points. But to bring the fans back and get them excited, there has to be more going on.
Well, no, there doesn't, but no, there isn't. And I mean, it's not exactly, Nick Raw is really sexy. No,
Mhm.
you know, honestly, this is a 7-month marathon,
Right.
82 games to get to the promised land. Just like with the Blue Jays, it's 162 games that you won the division by a tiebreaker, and now
Right.
you're in the ALCS. And by the way, I bet you a lot of Blue Jays fans who are rooting for Detroit rather than Seattle, because I think Detroit would have been an easy out, and Seattle I think is going to be really tough.
Yeah, I
But
think of baseball from a paranoid perspective. Everybody's tough, and I'm going to lose every single game until I don't. So
right, well,
I don't buy into any of that.
the stories
Right.
regarding the Leafs, I mean, that's why the whole Easton Cowan thing is fascinating, because that's one of the few stories that is going to be possibly a narrative on the season. It's like, okay, will he play?
Well,
Where in the lineup will he play? Wah playing third, fourth line. Lawton, when he comes back, will he have an effect?
right.
Matthias Michelli, whether can he? You know, but really, it's going to be how they compensate for the absence of the guy who
Right.
shall not be named. And maybe that changes after January the 23rd, when Vegas comes to town. But
But what will be so exciting about it, Mike? Like what's the exciting storyline that we can follow? Maybe it's Easton Cowan going on a heater, and
yeah,
that's quite possible. That would be great. But to bring us back and get us reignited for the purpose of this team potentially winning it all after all of the failure. I mean, that's you're right. 7-month marathon. You're gonna have to really buckle down and find a way to love this team again.
I have to say, I hate to say it, the excitement is not going to happen until May. The excitement is this, and the thing
I
is
know
that then
it's
there's going to be more apprehension with this
right.
team
Yeah.
between now and April, because there's no guarantee that this team is going to. I personally believe they're going to be a top 3 team in the Eastern Conference, and then it's going to be who you match up in the first round, and can you get by
Right.
them, and do they add somebody at the deadline? I
Right.
mean, like I said, they're stable on the blue line. This is the most solid top 6 that they've had in years.
Mm.
You've got a 1-2 up the middle of Matthews and Tavares. You've got a 40 to 45 goal scorer in Nylander. You've got a young power forward in Matthew Nyes. You've got a deeper forward core. It's just not as dynamic. Now, Spike, I agree that if they're going to go to the lengths that Leaf fans hope that they are,
Right.
they're probably going to need to make a trade at the deadline. But here's the issue. The issue here is all the teams, all the players that everybody projected as possibly being targets of the Leafs and other contenders at the deadline are all dropping off the board. I mean, obviously McDavid wasn't going to be traded, but Kyle Connor signed, Eichel signed, like all the Kaprizov signed. So you're talking about right now Adrian Kempe and Alex Tuch, and Buffalo will never trade with Toronto. So Adrian Kempe, and if he signs in LA, then really you're talking about 1-year contract type guys. And I don't know how much of an impact that they will make on the grand scheme of things. So
Right.
you may have to hope that they get some internal development from some of their prospects, that Easton Cowan can make a bigger splash than people think he can. And there may not be a big trade out there, maybe an okay trade, but it may be what is there is there.
Yeah. We're going to be involved with a Leaf malaise for quite some time. All of the goodwill that the team generated 6, 7, 8 years ago with these big seasons and getting into the playoffs and Matthews rising and Marner and Nylander and all those, that's all gone now. And I'm not saying that's a bad thing. We're used to a team that puts up 100 points in the regular season, then bows out in the playoffs. Especially if the Blue Jays win the World Series, I mean, that goodwill will last with Blue Jays fans for quite some time, right? With in terms of what's going on with the Maple Leafs, that's been expended, and we just keep pounding down the road. The fear is that the Leafs run as a team that could do anything of substance is coming to an end, and it may not end this season, but over the next few. The rise that the team has ascended to won't be matched by the group that is currently on the ice, and however they're going to be able to put them together until there's another type of reset. And I hope that's not the case for me, Mike. I just need something to keep bringing me back night in and night out, other than just to watch hockey. I want something exciting. And remember, there's a lot of buzz going on about the Blue Jays right now. So once that wears down a little bit and we get into the throes of winter, I may change my tune and how I perceive the Blue Jays. What else is going on with you, Mr. A?
Well, not much other than Hockey Hot Stove, posting a story a day, doing podcasts, covering the Sabres for Hockey News. So I'm staying busy.
Did you have any thoughts on what's going on with the LCSs?
Well, I obviously the Dodgers are favored. I can't see them.
Milwaukee just won't go away, though, man.
Yeah, they're. I think that the Cubs would have given the Dodgers less of a problem, but I still think, with their rotation and Ohtani and Freeman and Betts, they're going to make the World Series. And I mean, honestly, I know that Seattle had to expend and use some of their starters in that extra inning classic with the Tigers, but they have a much better offensive lineup than the Tigers do, with Brawley and J-Rod and and Suarez. I mean, I think that they can slug with the Blue Jays, and I mean, it's going to come down to whether the Blue Jays have a deep enough rotation and their bullpen pitches like their bullpen pitched in that Game 4 against the Yankees. If they in that bullpen game, they were dynamic. In the 2 games before that, their bullpen was a gas can. So,
that's pretty much goes for every baseball team, Mike. Sure. 1 minute your bullpen is all world. The next minute you want to toss them all out with the trash.
The guy who was the most dependable reliever for the Yankees last year going to the World Series was Luke Weaver.
Yeah, look at him this year.
And then this year he was sent on a garbage scow in the Hudson River after blowing 2 games.
I think, and again, with baseball, it's really weird. I mean, I coached baseball for many years, and whether you're kids or they're teenagers or you're playing yourself, I mean, you play a morning game and you look amazing. You play the afternoon game, you look amazing. You're firing on all cylinders. You play the late game, you're shut down through 3-4 innings, it all falls apart. It's just such a weird game. And it was, in saying that, though, I would like to see the Blue Jays take the field tonight and every single night throughout the series with Seattle as if they're the team that should be in the World Series based on their ascent, how they've played, how they clinched the division, how they took down the Yankees, and how they put bat to ball and just they don't strike out that much. You've got to continue to put the ball in play, and as they say, move the ball forward and do what they have to do. I mean, Seattle's going to be a very, very tough opponent, But I mean, you know, if the Jays continue to play like they have, and there's no guarantees it will continue, I think they've got as good a shot as any to get back to the World Series for the first time in, Jesus Christ, 35 years or whatever. And it would be, I think, Seattle's first trip to the World Series if they can overcome the Blue Jays. Mr. Augello, I got to start prepping for Turkey Day around here. I appreciate everything you do, and you know, without you, we don't have the Leafs Convo. OG's converts, like the content, subscribe to the channel. Make sure to watch out for our TikTok shorts. And Mike is Mike's takes are quite contentious on TikTok, especially when he's talking about Connor McDavid leaving Edmonton, or the Habs not making the playoffs and the Leafs making the playoffs. You should see these lunatics react.
Yeah, I use this as a short. If you disagree with me, you're wrong.
Okay, that's how I'm going to frame it for now on. And hey, that's okay. The more eyeballs we get on our content, the better. For Mr. Augello, I'm Norm. Happy Thanksgiving, everyone. Go Leafs, go. We'll see you on the next Leafs Convo.